what's up, everybody? Jake here, and welcome to the Card Lounge. I'm here with my buddy
Robo Skills. What's up, y'all?
Are you having a fantastic day?
A fantastic day. Dude, I'm tired. Okay.
What are you tired about?
We were moving boxes and boxes of inventory, and I had to build shelves, which was like, building shelves is kind of peaceful in a way.
Yeah.
It takes a while to set up stuff that you're gonna put cards and boxes on. And the one thing I hate, and it did happen, when you just mess up like one thing, like something needs to be upright, but you had it flipped, and then you go 3 or 4 steps beyond that, and then some bracket doesn't fit, and you're like, oh no, we did that wrong, and you have to reverse the steps like all the way back to that spot. It's really
I've done that before, where you build like a desk or something and it's reversed, and then you realize it way too late. And there's been times when I think like, wait, can I just keep it going?
Yeah. we thought that, and we really tried, but we were like, the only way the shelf part fits on the brackets is if we fix it. So but we got it fixed, and and now we're filming the Card Lounge.
Yeah, good for you. Well, if you guys didn't know, Rob lives in San Francisco, and we do our podcast at our recording studio in Las Vegas, and he travels long distance to film the pod. And Rob's currently in the process of moving to Las Vegas. New journey on your life, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's so little room for growth in San Francisco. It's a very cool city, but there's not a lot of square footage.
Right. Yeah. It would be very tough to set up like a brick and mortar.
Can you imagine how much a recording studio like this would cost in San Francisco?
Oh yeah. Or even just to film, like a podcast or do anything. Yeah. It's just the spacing is the issue. And I think a lot of people have left California just in general, simply because of that sort of pricing issue.
So I heard. Yeah. So some really cool stuff happening in the hobby right now. The coolest thing is obviously we are in the full on mega generation. Like, it's not like one set. Now we know for sure we're going to have multiple sets. The fact that the next set is Phantasmal Flames,
right?
Which shout out to the Card Lounge listener, because we kind of called this one. We knew for sure there was going to be something dark, something fiery. They were going to do that set.
Yeah. And actually, shout outs to Pat. So Deep Pocket Monster got the closest name guess to what it actually is, because his guess was like phantasmal or phantom.
Phantom glow, something like that.
Phantom glow, I think, was his comment. And one of his other guesses, which was also good, was like Eclipse Inferno or something.
That's a really cool name. I like that name.
I like that name too.
I don't like Phantasmal Flames as a name.
And they used flames again, and we already have Obsidian Flames.
Right, so which is, a lot of people didn't guess flames, because obviously it's already been used. So they try to use another thesaurus term for flames.
For fire, yeah. And they just, so now we know the Pokemon's not trying to use a different, they're just like, let's reuse flames again. Which, if we had thought that would be a thing, Pat's answer would have technically been the Phantom Flames.
I have noticed that they're recycling names a lot. There's only so many names that you can do in Pokemon. Like the next set is literally called Mega Evolution, which is as bland and boring of a name as you can probably get. You might as well call the next set like Pokemon Evolves. Right? Like really?
Mega Evolution is just a thing in Pokemon. They like give it a set name. I mean, that would be like as if, in Scarlet Violet, it was Terastalize, right? If just a set was just called that. It's like, don't call the set that. That's just the mechanic that happens in the game.
It does get confusing. There's so many sets that I've confused myself with. Like the Stellar Crown and Crown Zenith still confuse me, because they obviously both have Crown in their name too.
Oh yeah, I guess they do. See, I can think of Crown Zenith and Stellar Crown as
all right, here's the next guess.
One.
All right.
What?
Because the special holiday set for this year will probably have the word Fates in its name.
Oh, yeah.
Because we obviously had Hidden Fates, Shining Fates, Paldean Fates, and the next one would be a Fate set. Because they do a Fate set every 2 years as a special set. And so the next set would be Shiny SIR. Go ahead, give me your guess.
I think I know.
All right, go for it.
Well, I would have thought they would have already done it with an internal Shiny set, but they used Prismatic Evolutions for... the evolution stuff.
You want to call it Prismatic Fates?
I think it's just going to be called Prismatic Fates.
I'm on the same boat,
and
because
it's you get the shiny evolutions, just like how Hidden Fates had the shiny evolutions.
I'm on the exact same page with you. I also think the next shiny Fate set is going to be based on prismatic.
Yeah.
So I was thinking something like Terra Fates or Terrasolized Fates.
That's not a bad guess. I could see that.
It's boring, but hey, they've shown their hands.
It'll
They're pretty
fit
boring.
yeah, exactly. Hidden Fates, Shining
That's
Fates.
the next call out. We've been pretty good on our call out so far.
I know.
Because on the very last episode, we talked about Mega Evolution and we said, hey, this is a really cool set, but it's a little bit like Mega Evolution base. And we know that the Pokemon Company has a lot of cool Mega Evolutions in the chambers.
Yeah.
And obviously, the news came out that with Phantasmal Flame, they're bringing out Mega Charizard, which obviously Charizard's a big one, and Mega Gengar. And Gengar is like arguably even more popular than Charizard right now.
In the same set, too.
Yeah.
If they would have split those, they could have two sets that are kind of anchored by, this strong flagship Pokemon. But the fact that they're putting Charizard and Gengar in the same set is actually kind of like
devious.
It's kind of, yeah, because I just feel like this is going to be a set that's going to make people go crazy, and then it's going to be hard to get your hands on it.
I will say there's a ton of good Mega Evolutions, and have you noticed people are harping? This is a little bit off topic, but I got to bring this up. Have you noticed people harping on the Dragonite?
Mega Dragonite? Dude, I think it's a lazy thing, a lazy artwork.
I'm going to tell you right now, if you look at like the design of Mega Venusaur, Mega Blastoise, when a Pokemon evolves to Mega, they just take a certain body part and enlarge it.
No, okay. Charizard looks better. Blastoise, they get the full, like, the extra cannon.
Yeah, it's an enlarged cannon.
Right, but
Venusaur is an enlarged flower.
Okay, this is the thing.
I agree the Dragonite looks goofy. They should have put the wings on its back, enlarged wings, but that's pretty much all they needed to change.
They could have made it look a little bit more. They could have still taken the Dragonair. So the whole thing of it, right, is like there's still it brings back the Dragonair elements because it doesn't really look like a Dragonair turns into a Dragonite. Just where the ears are
that's common.
And the bell on the tail. But now, so they add that to the Dragonite, but they just made it look kind of goofy. I mean, it's like its wings are coming out of its head.
Dragonite has always looked goofy. He's never been like a feisty boy.
But he looks cool. Like, okay, there's that. He is feisty.
Sure.
And you know what's so funny? There was someone that made a post where they're like, yeah, Dragonite's not feisty. And there's a scene where, oh man, I can't remember the trainer. Is it Lance? Maybe Lance
Dragonite
is running through like he's trying to.
I know that scene. I know that scene you're talking about.
And his Dragonite is wrecking shop. Like, he looks so cool. He's like punching through everything.
Okay,
Draco
I agree that if his wings were on his back instead of his head, he would look way better. But I don't hate it.
Well, okay, he could fold him in. He could fly faster. All I'm saying is that scene now, he tries to mega evolve his Dragonite. With those wings, he's not even fitting through the doors of a building. He just can't even walk in a building, really. It's so ridiculous looking.
Yeah. So where I was going with this was that basically the Pokemon Company has a ton of really cool Mega Evolution Pokemon that they just have locked and loaded for future sets. And we know a ton of them are coming out. Like, obviously, they revealed Mega Dragonite. Most likely in set 3 or 4 of the Mega Evolution series, they'll have Mega Dragonite SIR.
Mega
Rayquaza is that. We actually know for sure Rayquaza is going to get a card. There's already been some leaks of future upcoming sets from Japan as well. So yes, they have a ton of really cool Mega Evolution Pokemon. So I'm not surprised that there's going to be a lot of cool Mega Evolution in every one of these sets.
Yeah.
And I still think, if my prediction is true, Mega Evolution, the base version of it, will be the weakest of all of the future ones.
Right.
And that's what I mean when I say it's like, hey, I wouldn't invest in this set. There's just, if you collect a set, it would be the best of that set, would be the most popular one.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. And I think, people that were disagreeing with you when you were saying that, in the original pods, kind of like they're just thinking, they're just like, oh, Megas, it's finally back. But right, the base set will probably be, I mean, we even just talked about it, how lazy the name is. It's not even really, they just called it Mega Evolution. You know why that's also the worst name they could pick for it? Now you can't categorize naming the card. It's gonna, like, if I'm like the Obsidian Flames Charizard versus the 151 Charizard, the difference thinking of the artwork in your head, correct?
I know what you mean.
Right, because if there's a Gardevoir in the base set, right?
Yeah.
You can't go, oh, do you have the Mega Evolution Gardevoir EX? And then you'll be like, oh, the Mega Gardevoir, like from XY, and you're like, no, the Mega Evolution one. And then you're like, yeah, that's the one I set. And it's like, no, the set Mega Evolution Mega Gardevoir. And it's like, just call it a different set name,
I'm curious to see if Phantasmal Flames will have the word Mega Evolution on top of it, the same way Scarlet and Violet is the word for the top of every set from Scarlet and Violet.
Right. I think it
Because
Will?
if they remove that, that would be like an interesting thing because they've been doing that for so long from like, you know, XY, Sword and Shield, Scarlet and
Yeah.
Violet. We've always had Scarlet and Violet, so and so, but now we might not have
Because
Mega Evolution Phantasmal Flames. It's just gonna be Phantasmal Flames.
that would be interesting. I don't know, because that would be weird. It's such a bad, like, it's not a this and that thing. Scarlet Violet, Obsidian Flames, Sword and Shield, Evolving Skies. Yeah, I guess you just no one says that in the set name, but it does kind of make you go like, oh, what era, like what block was that from? And you're like Sword and Shield base, and then how it reads, you would say Rebel Clash is next, but you could also go Sword and Shield Rebel Clash.
Yeah.
So would it be Mega Evolution Phantasmal Flames? Seems like a lot.
I don't mind it. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing is that obviously we've seen some of the leaks from Mega Evolution,
Mhm.
and there's a bunch of really cool cards coming out. We've already seen the SIRs. The Japanese set, we'll probably be opening it soon. It's actually coming out like next week, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me that we're already moving into Mega Evolution with the Japanese sets coming out
It
soon.
drops the weekend of the National.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And there's a bunch of cool SIRs inside of it. My current chase for it is the Gardevoir. I think that's my favorite of the bunch. They all look really good.
Yes,
the
I agree.
Gardevoir EX
Looks
SIR
nice. Yeah.
looks really fantastic. The Kangaskhan, actually, a lot of people like that. The SIR of it.
Who's the artist for the Kangaskhan?
I don't know, but the art looks really good.
It has that. I feel like it's almost I can't think of it, but maybe I can recognize that art compared to other ones where they just use a lot of like bright, vivid colors, and it really pops. Like it stands out in your head, which is cool.
We are going back to kind of like a normal pull rate though, because there's about a dozen SIRs and basically around 20 to 30 illustration rare. So it's very normal booster box pull rates. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy to write home about. It should be fun, but I'm excited for Mega Evolution, but I'm probably just going to pick up one booster box. I don't know if I need more.
One booster box?
Yeah, one booster box.
Okay. I'd pick up more than that. But
I mean, if I could, but I would just be happy with one.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. And I think it's interesting that the amount of time that they got to prep for Black and White. Like, you know, when people were thinking, oh, they just did an illustration rare for every single Pokemon in Black and White. Would they do that just for every set moving forward to kind of produce this feeling of like, oh, as you open like 3 or 4 or 5 packs, you get like a hit, which is, you know, why I think more people like opening Black and White versus Prismatic Evolutions, because you can open 10 packs of that in a row and you just feel bad. I like I've told you this, I like the Pokeball reverse holos, but even then people don't consider it like a hit. Whereas I feel like the illustration rares out of, dude, we were streaming last night on my channel and it was crazy because I pulled an illustration rare.
Yeah, I saw that. You pulled a Victini. Congratulations.
That too, yeah, which was awesome because I mean we've probably gone through like 1,000 packs, so that card is tough to pull. But what I was saying is just a regular IR of, I can't remember which Pokemon, but I hadn't seen it in opening all the Japanese Black and White and then all the English thus far.
Well, yeah, there's 150 of them. You're gonna miss some.
So that's what I'm saying. Like you can open up Black and White a year from now. Like, you know, once you open up, let's say 500 to 700 packs of Vivid Voltage, and you know, maybe not even every collector obviously can open up that many, but if you okay, let's just say like 100 packs or 200 packs, you kind of know what's in Vivid Voltage.
Right. I know what you mean. Is that
surprise.
Even at the 200th pack, if Black and White, you're still going to see something new
you haven't seen yet before, which I think is really cool. You know, I thought that they would water down the effect of illustration rares, but it is kind of nice to know that, you know, maybe 6 months from now, we just open up some Black and White and we may see a card that like we've never seen before. And it's kind of just like new and exciting.
Yeah. So while we're on the topic of Black and White, there's one illustration rare that stands above all else. Have you seen the price on that card?
I did see the posts about that.
Yeah, it's very heavy. It's the Seismitoad illustration rare drawn by Shinji Kanda, which is the Magikarp illustration rare. And I actually made this call out in my first opening of Black and White.
Did.
I just said like, hey, just look out for this card. I'm pretty confident something interesting is going to happen to it.
Did you call out the Seismitoad exactly?
Yeah, but that's not a surprise. Like that's like because a very investor bro kind of pick. Like it's so obvious that was like one that people would speculate on, and that's what I would say is happening on it is speculation.
Okay, right. Because there's something about the look of it. You can look at it and tell it's Shinji Kanda, but it's not as I get the colors and the chaos of all the details, and it's like an organized chaos, but it doesn't kind of really jump out at me the same way the Magikarp or the Alt Art Giratina does. Does that make sense?
Things have surprises all the time in the world of Pokemon collecting, so I would not be surprised if it stays at this price, but honestly, I think it would probably drop, especially once more people get their hands on Black Bolt and White Flare. I don't think the Seismic Toad can stand at that price on its own. It's a very cool card, but it's not that cool.
You say that. It's then not that do you mean not that cool as an artwork or not that cool as a fan favorite Pokemon?
So a little bit of everything.
Okay.
So let's talk about why the Magikarp is actually expensive, because sometimes people don't understand what happened to that card. So I'll tell you the story of the Magikarp, because when it came out, it was only a $40 to $50 illustration rare, but the price on it actually climbed way later, and that was due to the PSA 10 chase, because the Magikarp illustration rare specifically, it really struggles for getting a PSA 10, and the reason is the print quality for Paldea Evolve just sucks.
Was not that good.
Yeah, but the print quality has improved quite a bit. I think for the Seismitoad, if the pull rate for it is normal from every other illustration rare, and its PSA 10 pull rate or PSA 10 grading rate is like, let's say 50%, it's gonna be a very normal card. It's not gonna have that same level of hype as the Magikarp, because the Magikarp is almost like a rumor in the hobby. It's like a legendary status. Like, hey, did you hear about how rare the Magikarp PSA 10 is? And that's how it became expensive. It was almost through word of mouth, you know? And right now people are speculating that the Seismitoad is going to be a repeat of the Magikarp. And I just don't see that happening. It's not impossible. Like I said, anything can surprise us, but I just don't see lightning striking twice with the Seismitoad.
Gotcha. I think it's not even, well, it's that, and it's what you're saying, correct? It's a lot of things, but also just, I mean, if we just take popularity of Pokemon, like Magikarp, because it evolves into Gyarados, and because it's the fish, it's Magikarp kind of.
It's iconic. It's been around forever.
It's the original, 151. Like a lot of people like really love, Magikarp. Like the homie West, his name's West Magical Magikarp. Like there's a lot of people that center their collections.
I've seen the Bass Pro Shop hat with Magikarp.
Yeah, with Magikarp. Cool. Yeah, there's no Bass Pro Shop with Barboach on it.
Sure.
No one gives a shit about Barboach. And so it's like Seismitoad, do people like them? Like I actually think Seismitoad's a cool
I think it's a cool card.
I remember using them in the video game.
I'm going to tell you right now, I think most viewers right here would say, yeah, I would love to have that illustration rare, just not at $150.
Right. It has
that's
to be
the difference.
Cheaper. And I think also it's just people are going to be less willing to pay the heavier price because there are not as many people out there that are their favorite Pokemon is Seismitoad as there are Magikarp and Gyarados lovers,
Yeah, so I see that, and I think basically a lot of people are picking it up because they're expecting some kind of return from it, like the Magikarp, and that's what's happening in the market, is that there's just rampant of like, ooh, what's going to be the next big one? And there's a lot of like chasing the next big climb right now because Pokemon is climbing so rapidly. Card Lounge will be right back after this brief message from our sponsor.
Kanto Shark. Guys, Kanto Shark has been selling over $1 million of Pokemon product every single month for like the last 3-4 months. They sold a first edition Charizard PSA 10 for $325,000. And I saw recently that Kanto Shark just got in a consignment for a huge Pikachu collection. I think it was like the largest graded Pikachu collection in the world.
I'm really excited about that one. I'm a huge Pikachu collector. I'm going to be looking up Kanto Shark to see if I can snag some Pikachu grails for my own personal collection.
Yeah, he put up this picture. It's like just rows and rows of PSA graded Pikachus. They look like mostly 9s and 10s, like mostly 10s. And these are the types of grails you can find when you check out Kanto Shark and what they have on auction. If you're trying to sell your high-end Pokemon stuff, Kanto Shark actually has the best consignment fee for sellers, especially if you're selling your high-end grails. From $5,000 to $25,000, it's an 8% fee. From $25,000 to $500,000, it's a 5% fee. And for any item that sells for over $500,000 or more, it's just a 3% fee, which means you as the seller get to retain the most amount of money for your sold grails.
Getting started is super simple. Just message at KantoShark on Instagram with photos of what you've got. Give them a DM and they'll take it from there. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or consign, there's never been a better time to work with one of the most trusted names in the hobby, Kanto Shark. Thank you again to Kanto Shark for sponsoring today's episode of the Card Lounge podcast. I did a video recently talking about the value of my collection, okay? Because I did a video, and you remember this video, 3 months ago, I talked about my collection's value, and I said, hey, it just passed $200,000 in value, which is insane. It's an astronomical number. I've never seen 200 grand in my life. Have you? No, so it's a lot. So the value of my collection right now is 320 grand. And
it already it went up another 50%.
Yes. And the thing is, I didn't add 120 grand worth of cards into it. The value of it is currently climbing. The value of my collection is currently climbing at a rate of $46,000 per month, which is
what percentage is that per month?
Very high. Let's say I'm gonna do a guess right now, and I'm gonna say 18%.
Okay.
Per
and
month.
Then how does that compare to the stock market, ladies and gentlemen?
But I will say, like in normal circumstances, it does not climb 18% every month.
Of course.
The past 3 months it did. But
Yeah,
I brought that up, which
why?
is basically
Why has it?
Yeah. So basically I said this, which I think is mind-blowing, is that the value of my collection is climbing at a rate per month of 46 grand. And the average income in the US that a person makes is less than that. So my collection's value is climbing faster than the average income of someone making in a year.
Okay, but see, here's the million view clip then. You're saying that I add in, then okay, people hear this. Why are they not going to put their money in Pokemon then?
Because it normally doesn't climb that thing.
But of course it normally doesn't. But if we're saying it does and it's been doing it for the last 3 months, why? All this is telling me is go put more of my money into Pokemon so it can appreciate more. And if the more people do that, the more likely that is to occur.
Yeah,
that's it's so everything
just
got to keep going.
Everything you're saying is exactly what happens in a bubble scenario.
Exactly. Something has to happen where that people need, like, everyone needs money right away, and then people can start liquidating their cards. And as soon as stuff all hits the market at once, there's going to be cards that fall way quicker than others. This will be tied in perfectly to the last short that we posted on Card Lounge. Dude, people did not like, or people were not getting the explanation of like population versus demand, like
which is completely
rarity
fine.
Versus demand. And right, this is why I think a lot of people that are, like you and me and some of the maybe older kind of OGs, like I think a lot of the newer people, and this isn't everyone that's new, but a lot of the people certainly that were, chiming off in the comments that didn't understand, or they say like, oh, population matters zero. They don't get how population soon takes a very, very quick effect in affecting value as soon as there's a bubble pop.
Yeah. So there's a history lesson in like the last time. So there's a history lesson here, and I'll tell you the story. In the last Great Depression in 1920s or wherever that happened, there's a story where a stockbroker was driving home from work, and his taxi driver was giving him stock investing advice. He's saying, oh, I'm buying this stock right now and that other stock. And he said that was his cue to know that we are in a massive bubble, is when his taxi driver is giving him stock investing advice.
What you're saying.
So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to let the audience know it's a bubble when your regular mom and pop who has nothing to do with Pokemon starts collecting Pokemon cards because they just happen to hear that it's going up.
Well, what if they like to collect it because they're really enjoying Pokemon?
If they're really enjoying it, they've probably already been collecting it. That's what I'm saying. Is if they're picking it up right now because they just heard that rumor through the podcast or through the ethos that Pokemon cards is really popular right now. I'm just picking it up because I hear it's going up or
for
something.
the money. Yeah, they don't really love
That's
it.
That's the cue that we might be in a bubble. So
they want it for the money. They think it's going to go up more, and then they think they're going to sell it. But as soon as they're all thinking that, and all of them really have no kind of care or don't see the like intrinsic value of a Pokemon card, that's when the selling starts to happen.
Yeah.
And so how much of that is, let's talk about this, because this will be the perfect kind of clip to tie in with the other clip. I'll be what like a lot of the comments were saying. I think there was some point where we were talking about the EVGX that you picked up. I think the pop you said in the PSA 10 was like under 200 or something like that?
255.
Okay, 255. And then comparing that for the gray felt hat Pikachu. Now, gray felt hat Pikachu, obviously iconic artwork. We both want 10s in our collection, but we both said we wouldn't buy it to get it in our collection now. And I guess a lot of people were also confusing the statement with like like we're saying that no one should buy it at this price or that it's wrong to buy it at whatever price. Like, guys, we don't ever say you should or shouldn't buy something at any value up or down for anything.
Yeah,
So,
people can buy whatever
you
they
know,
want, but we'll say like, hey, we think this is overvalued or undervalued
exactly.
right now.
And the reason for that is because, so you talked about how you only saw that EVGX at one table at this entire card show. That was like a 450 plus table card show.
Right.
Now you saw the gray felt hat Pikachu at like a bunch of tables, and there was one table in particular where you said the guy had like 20 PSA 10s just lined up.
I still have a photo of that as proof, just
Sure.
because I know someone's gonna be like, did that really happen? Yes,
Sure.
I have that photo.
I've seen those tables too. There's a bunch of people that have a bunch. And the thing with that is, even if there's a huge demand for that card and even a bigger demand than the EVGX, it doesn't change the fact that if the population is so high, what that lets everyone know that's collecting it is, oh man, when I need some money and I need to sell some stuff, if I look at the EVGX, if I look at the gray felt hat, I might think the gray felt hat is more iconic. That doesn't matter when the question is, which one do I think will be easier to find again? Which one do I think will be easier to add to my collection? Because what you'll find when everyone starts selling and there's a bubble pop, the stuff that gets let go of first is the stuff that everyone thinks that they see around a lot more, that they think they can reacquire later. And usually that's when your population and your rarity starts to affect value. You even see the value drop because what happens is the people all, like everyone that thinks that, they all go and sell their gray felt hat Pikachus at the same time. And when you have a bunch of supply hit the market at the same time, everyone starts to undercut each other on price. And that's how you get super, super quick, drops in price. Now let's go back to the rarity conversation. Even if everyone in the world was like, oh, I want to sell my EVGX, I need money right now because let's say some global thing happens and like people need money. The EVGX physically cannot experience that, or at least not in the same way, because we know the pop is low. We know, let's say half of them are just in permanent people's collections forever, like some EV collector that's never going to sell. They can't have 100 of those EVs in a PSA 10 hit the market all at the same time to sell because they just don't exist. They're not out there. 100 gray felt hat Pikachus can appear on eBay like that in a day, And that's what we're trying to explain, guys, when we say, so if you want to buy a gray felt hat Pikachu now for the like highest price that it's at, that's fine. We're not telling you yes or no, do what you want with your money, but it's like, could you spend that $1,000 or $1,200 somewhere else on a card that isn't going to be as volatile when, the shit really hits the fan?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I'm very proud of you, man. That was a very good economics lesson. You almost sounded like Twice Baked Jake for a moment. And I fully agree. And that's the reason why it works both ways too, is that, hey, if I want to buy a card right now, and let's say the market is currently tanking. So I'm going to be very picky. In a market when things are tanking, you get more picky because everything's dropping. I don't want to be picking up anything that's dropping.
Right.
And I will be even less inclined to pick up the Great Felt Hat Pikachu. And the reason for that is because, well, everyone's got one at their table. If I want to pick one up, I can pick one up whenever. And that's the same reason is I'm still going to chase something that is a little bit more desirable. And we were talking about how in the short that we mentioned, we called it comparable. Comp is meant to be comparable. So I'll bring up a perfect comparison, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The Bubble Mew EX is currently going for right around $1,200.
I know where you're going with
the
this.
Great Felt Hat is currently going for $1,200. Mm-hmm. They're both the exact same price. I would prefer a Bubble Mew. It's just way more rare and way more cool, I think. So that's a perfect example. Two cards, and if they're both the exact same price, I'm going to go for the one that I think is cooler. That's it. And if you think the Great Felt Hat Pikachu is cooler, that's fine too.
And that's fine too. I was going to say that. Yeah.
But I mean, like, it's just a pure numbers game at that point.
And another great thing to add. So then there was a couple comments that they use this kind of logic, but I don't think they think it all the way through. And this is no, slam on those people that were leaving these types of comments. I think some people probably left the comment a little bit more respectfully than others. But regardless, to answer everyone's comment that kind of said something like they would say like, Oh, demand is the more important driving factor. Or like they were trying to say, like we weren't saying that we were saying demand doesn't matter at all. And we never said that.
Oh yeah,
Demand
demand is
obviously
super important, but you
super
can't
important.
control demand. That's
You
the thing.
But rarity is a control. So demand, guys, shifts with people's tastes, with the times. Like look at the demand for Legendary Collection when it came out. I remember when it came out, like no one cared about the fireworks reverse hollows. Now you just, it wasn't even 20 years later. I mean, even just 5, kind of 6, 7, almost 10 years ago, people started to care. People's tastes shift. And so there's that with the fact that like demand can shift heavily, whereas rarity by definition can't shift unless Pokemon just prints more of like said card. But otherwise it's whatever they've printed, the total amount, whether it's in packs, people's collections, graded, not graded, it exists as a finite number. So what I think is interesting, and that means, right, if those cards get destroyed, that always immediately takes one off the board forever. Supply will only ever go down because, I mean, over time, just people lose things get destroyed,
yeah.
things get accidentally
we know that
thrown
happened
away.
because
Right.
This was something we talked about in a couple of episodes ago, was that there was a large California fire, and we know many
Everyone's
people lost.
Yeah.
There were big cards that were lost in that
Jeremy
California fire.
Padawar's collection, which is like huge stuff, like big stuff. And so, right. So there's that. But I think what a lot of people were saying, and I want to like dispel this illusion. And really it's just, I think, well, that's why, you guys are listening to us on the Card Lounge. So I hope this is helpful. I think people were saying the demand is more important. Who cares about a card if they made 3 like of a card? So it was a 3 of, like serialized 3 in Pokemon. And someone would leave the comment like, but if only 2 people want it and no one else wants it, it doesn't matter that there's only 3. When there's something that there's 10,000 of, but 100,000 people want it. And I think I left a comment under one person that kind of, wrote it out very specifically. And what I told them is, I get what you're saying in that sentence, but realistically, that would never happen. People like to talk about there's 10 million collectors out there, and there probably are. I mean, globally, right?
Yeah, I agree with you.
And what? So there's only what was the number for gray felt hats? Like 40,000 in a PSA 10?
Yeah, 41,000 PSA 10 right now. It's currently climbing at a rate of like 1,000 PSA 10 a month.
Dude, so it's gonna hit 50, it's gonna hit 60. Think about all the 9s there are, 8, 7, 6s, and then how many raw copies are still just sitting in a box somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gray felt hat Pikachus. My point is this: if you have a hobby that has 10 million collectors in it, there is no scenario where in that same hobby, the creators of that hobby created a 3 of card that only 2 people want. Because the realistic thing is, there is, even in any hobby, if the top 1% of that hobby, so let's say 10 million, let's just say 100,000 people like to collect the rarest things. They've got deep pockets and they just want the rarest stuff. There will always be more of those people than any amount of rare card, or that rare card isn't in existence. It doesn't make sense. There is no hobby where there's something that's created where a thing is so rare and less people in that hobby care about that rare card than some other like common and uncommon card. That fights the definition of rarity. This is why we collect the secret rares or the alt arts and not the common cards and uncommon cards. And that's not to say that there are collectors that, when you master set, you kind of technically collect the commons and uncommons. Yeah. But what is the more common thing to collect? It's the alt arts, the rares. And so, people were using that kind of numbers kind of analogy to explain or like they're trying to say why demand is like this like unstoppable driving force, and the rarity doesn't matter or the population doesn't matter.
I get where they're coming from, and I think you're right. And I will say the misconception with it is wants does not mean demand. I think that's what some people think, is that if you want something, then you have demand for it. That's not what it works in the world of economics. So demand is based on a price point. That's what it literally means. Is, hey, I have this demand for it. I have the purchasing power for it. If you want something, like I could want a Ferrari, it doesn't matter. That's a great example.
Because
I don't have
in
any
the
demand.
So we could want a Pikachu Illustrator card.
But our demand for it is technically zero
because we can't pay for it.
Yeah.
Like I would love the creature deck stuff, like the creature stamp Charizard, because it's just a unique Charizard. It's also, how many are those? They only gave out those briefcases to like employees, and there's, you know, I don't know. The stuff in there is like 80 grand, 100 grand, right? I think Dubsy collection has like all of them in a PSA 10. And like, I'm assuming that guy, you know, you've seen he's got money. Other people have money too, but you can't just buy creature deck things. So is there more demand for the gray felt hat Pikachu? Yes, probably by definition. And do less people know about the creature deck stuff? Yes, they do. Why does the creature deck stuff go for more money, guys? It's not because there's a higher demand. It's not because more people know about it. Like, arguably, I think quite clearly less people know about that stuff amongst the casual collector. We know about it, but our demand's not in it because we're not going to be able to shell out 80 grand for one card that, you know, is a super really cool looking card, but the prices are the prices, and it's because that stuff is rare. It's extremely low pop, and there's people in our, you know, collecting hobby that will pay that money. That's the demand, and that's why that stuff is all higher than a gray felt hat Pikachu.
Yeah, I think the easiest way I can explain it is to say, let's say you have $200.
Yeah.
Okay, and if a booster box is 100, you're willing to buy 2. All right. If a booster box is 150, you can only buy 1. And let's say a booster box is 200, you just say, I'm not going to buy any because it's too expensive. I could buy 1 at 200, but I don't even want 1 at 200. It's too expensive. That's how a demand curve would literally look, is that depending on the price, you would buy depending on the price point. And basically what we're saying is at the current price of the Great Felt Hat Pikachu, we do not have demand for it because we just don't value it at that price.
At that price.
If it was $500, maybe right now I'll pick one up.
Exactly. Yeah. And we both want the card. Like I eventually will get that card in my collection. Sure. So I can even make that claim. And people are like, if it goes to 2K, if it goes to 3K, then I'll be like, okay, so be it. But we've also been in Pokemon long enough that I feel like the chances, it's not about even just looking at those in a vacuum. That's what a lot of people do too. They look at things in a vacuum. I'm not even saying that, oh, will I pick it up at 2,000 later, 2 years from now? People might go, oh, you said you wouldn't even pick it up at 1,000. It doesn't matter. The variables are different. I might be richer, or there might be something different with that card
you're
versus
absolutely right.
The population.
I'm going to tell you right
now,
now,
variables.
If the Great Felt Hat Pikachu reaches $2,000,
yeah,
I'm going to tell you every other card probably went up the same pace. So it's not that big of a difference.
Exactly. The bet is not that I think it's going to go lower, guys, or that it doesn't ever hit 2,000. It's the bet that if my 1,000 goes to a gray felt hat Pikachu now, I'm hedging, and I'm thinking I could spend 1,000 on an e-reader. You know, I'm trying to get all the e-readers in a 9. One of those, because I know they're extremely low pop. I'm already priced out of the 10s, and I would just like that card in my collection. So I'm going to try to find the 9. Luckily, I got the Umbreon, the Gengar, the other Umbreon, you know, the birds, and those were all like super expensive. But since I got them, they've all like doubled and tripled. So it's like, I know I'm focusing on the right thing. And the bet is that I think there's other things I can spend the $1,000 on that are going to go up faster or more significantly than that gray felt hat Pikachu. And if I'm right and there is a crash, say a year from now, 2 years from now, I'm not wishing for it, but if it happens, I think the gray felt hat has a higher chance of going down to a lower price point where I feel comfortable to go, okay, now I'll pick it up and put it in my collection and I'll be happy. And if it goes down further, I won't care because I'll just be happy at what price point I got it at. And I'll know that it's just staying in my collection, not for a monetary value, but just, you know, for my personal satisfaction.
Yeah, I think we're not trying to beat up the Great Felt Hat Pikachu. And I get where this is going.
That, yeah.
But I'll tell it to you. And this is, I think, a really good lesson for the viewers is that
Exactly.
ultimately we have limited funds and we can only pick and choose what we can add to our collection. So you're making the choice, would you rather have the Great Felt Hat Pikachu or something else of that same price? And you're just saying, I'd rather have something else. And that's what we're trying to show to our viewers is basically, hey, there might be something cooler for the exact same price. Like you obviously, can you pick up the Great Felt Hat for $1,200? But we're just saying, there's probably something that's a better or cooler card that is rarer or, more desirable for the exact same price. Card Lounge will be right back after this brief message from our sponsor,
Collectr. This episode of the Card Lounge podcast is sponsored by Collectr, the #1 collecting app.
Collectr is the official trading card tracking app of the Card Lounge podcast. Both Rob and I have been using Collectr constantly to track our whole entire collection. I can't stop looking at it because the prices on cards right now are absolutely wild. People have seen it. Prices are going up and down. And if you're currently tracking your Pokemon card prices on a spreadsheet, guys, you are so far behind the time. You have it in the palm of your hand.
Right. Everyone's already on their phone anyway. It makes it so easy to share and look up updates. It's kind of funny, dude. I just went to my closet and found some stuff that I wasn't tracking anywhere. I used to put stuff on a spreadsheet, but we're so busy now, and it's like I can never have time to update things constantly. I added that stuff to the Collectr app, and then my collection went up like another $20,000.
Yeah, that's absolutely the power of Collectr, is that a lot of times, even if you don't know the card you're looking at, the Collectr app has a scanning feature where you can just check out your card through a camera and they will tell you what card you have.
Yeah, it just makes it easier also on you guys. Like, it gives you peace of mind to let you know what your collection is valued at. You might not know, like, when your collection goes up 10 grand. You might not know when it drops like 5 grand. Maybe you would like to have this kind of information, and that might let you know when you should sell some stuff, buy some stuff, all these cards in your collection, plus even the sealed product that you guys, collect and maybe store away for years or, a certain amount of time. You can always track it all on Collectr.
Yeah, and I actually have some cards that I have favorited on Collectr so that if they ever drop down, I'm currently watching them so that if they fall down to the right price, I'll know when to scoop them up. And if you don't want to just collect Pokemon cards and you're currently collecting Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, or any other trading card game, you can track it all right now on the Collectr app, bundle your whole entire collection, and know what your collection's value is currently worth.
Yeah. I like the fact that you can see the combined collection value, and you can also separate between categories. So I know like what my Pokemon collection is worth and then what my One Piece slabs are worth as well.
That's right. And you can also separate it by sets too. If you're someone that's a completionist and want to know exactly what cards you're missing from certain sets, Collectr is also great for that. So definitely check them out. They are a fantastic tool, whether you're the first time collector, someone that's just started a couple weeks ago, or if you're someone that's been inside of the hobby for the past 10 years, Collectr has something for you. Check them out today. They are available for download on Android and iOS.
Thank you to Collectr for sponsoring today's episode of the Card Lounge podcast. Yeah.
And so I'll give another example is that I have a Mario Pikachu and I don't have the 20th anniversary Battle Festa Pikachu. Both cards in a PSA 10 are currently pretty much going for the exact same price.
That's wow.
Yeah. And if I wanted to, if I wanted to 6 or 7 years ago, I could have made that simple decision of, instead of buying Mario Pikachu, I could pick up the 20th anniversary Pikachu. And they were going for the same price then too. They've gone up at the same pace, and it makes sense because they're very, very similar. So right now I could essentially just trade my Mario Pikachu and just get the 20th anniversary Pikachu, and it's just like I had it for the past 8 years, it'll be the same.
Would you do that if it was offered to you?
No, because I prefer the Mario Pikachu, which is why I purchased it in the first place instead of the 20th anniversary Pikachu, but they're both really cool.
I would think you would. But the only reason I see what you're saying, that's why you got that one first, because you think that one's cooler. What if we thought, and I'm wondering if you think this too, what if I feel like you should make that trade just because if there was a pullback in pricing, I think the Mario Pikachu would go down to a lower price than the 2016 Battle Festa.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes. I will say I'm not a pure numbers guys, and that's part of collecting too, is that I collect what's cool, and you know that. There's cards that I collect because I just think they're cool, and I don't care if they go up and down, which is what our point for the Great Felt Hat Pikachu is as well. You can pick it up if you don't care it's going up and down. But if you're just someone that is on the fence, and there may be cooler cards that you want to pick up. So that's what we're trying to say. Yeah. If you really want a Great Felt Hat Pikachu and you got like a dozen of it and you love them, then so be it. Like that's clearly more value to you. But it is a numbers game sometimes. There are cards that I don't care about the numbers of, and there are cards that you're on the fence because you're less attached to them.
Mm.
So that's what we're talking about.
Well, do you think that if they were to fall in price, they would fall the same way that they appreciated in price together?
They are very similar. So the reason why they track the same way is because they're so similar in terms of like the collecting pace.
Is the pop different though? See, now we go back to rarity.
You're right. The pop is a little bit different, but basically what I'm trying to say is it's also supply and demand. It's that more people want the Mario Pikachu than the 20th anniversary Pikachu because it's a little bit more niche. The Mario Pikachu has a larger audience base, but even though, so that's why same thing with the Great Pikachu.
That's where it
higher
wins.
pop, but
See,
still demand.
I would argue I like the artwork for pure classic Pokemon. It's so funny. It's like these two variables like cancel each other out. I would have thought the 2016 is so superior because the Squirtle, Charmander, and Bulbasaur on it just like make that such a like. It's the Kanto card, like they, it just look, dude, and I think you know this, like that was the first big purchase I ever made going back into the hobby. And I made that at the height, like when you would think people would tell you, oh, this is the worst time to buy that card. But I bought it and it's only got, like, it's still my like best, like, I don't know, investment, if you want to use that term. But I never thought of it that way and I never bought it because of that. So what's funny is though, even though it has that kind of, I would say extra kind of step tier above iconicness for Pokemon, the Mario Pikachu is just Pikachu, but it has Mario in it. So
which is also really cool.
It's right. And it's like, I feel like it's a lower tier step in Pokemon, but it gets boosted by a step because it opens the entire Mario fan base. You know what? There's probably people out there that collect Nintendo things or like Mario stuff. Maybe they don't collect Pokemon at all, but they would still want that Mario Pikachu because it's a Mario and Luigi thing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And because of that, it like almost gives it that extra value.
Yeah. We talk about this all the time, is that there's so many low pop cards that no one cares about. Those are both really cool cards that obviously lots of people care about. But there are literally pop 10, pop 20 cards that are really cool, really rare, but like no one talks about them on any given day. And those are cool cards too. And I think there's just a market for everything.
Yeah.
So it just depends.
You know what? You'll notice though, the cards that are low pop that maybe weren't given respect, but they are starting. I mean, dude, Mega Evolution cards are kind of the perfect example. Dude, before the release of like the Mega Evolution set, right? Before even like, say, Poke Beach even like brought the news that we were bringing Megas back. Do you remember compared to GX tag teams, like everyone's focused on Sun and Moon, everyone's really focused on alt arts from Sword and Shield, and I guess people are picking up alt arts from Scarlet Violet. Mega stuff is a lower pop than Sun, like 10s, right? Than Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield stuff, certainly, and certainly Scarlet Violet stuff. But you could find a Mega Ampharos in a 10, a Mega Sharpedo, a Mega Absol, those cards, and they look really nice. The texture on them, the full art picture. The prices on them were not that
they've definitely climbed, but they were low for a long time.
They were super low. And so if you really like those cards, you'd go pick them up, but I feel like most people ignored them. Then we're like, okay, we're bringing Megas back, and then a lot of people brought that speculation to the old Megas, like, oh, this is going to bring awareness to Megas. I want to pick up those old Megas. And then I think also what happened is there's like a little bit of that artificial hype. But then in that artificial hype, people got real concrete knowledge of like, wait, this Mega Gengar in a 10, there's only 60 of them?
Yeah, some of these pop reports are insanely low.
If I find one of the 10s, like now there's none on eBay, why is this cheaper than a Moonbreon? Why is this cheaper than the Lovebirds in Sun and Moon? Even though I know that card is also shot up a lot. But you know what I mean, right? It was like all the 10s were way cheaper. Oh my God, the Mega Rayquaza. Have you seen how much that's jumped?
Yep.
I remember wanting to get that. I think I have one in a 9, but I should have just got one in a 10. But I don't know. My 9's really
Is that the
clean,
same one that came out for the Celebration set? Are we talking about the same one?
No, because that's just its EX. It's a regular one. I'm talking about it's like it's full art and it looks super cool.
Those are all like super rare, super low pop.
It's from Ancient Origins, and that's also not a set you can just walk into a card party or Collecticon and like every booth has an Ancient Origins ready to crack open. And dude, they were sitting at I think they were more expensive than other Megas, but they weren't as expensive as some Sword and Shield alt arts. But now people are starting to be like, oh, it should be more expensive. And that is not, again, guys, because of demand. That's because of rarity, you know?
Okay, so I'm going to try to loop this back into, something for the viewers.
Yeah.
And I fully agree with you. And I think the point is, hey, when everyone's moving right and everyone's picking up Great Felt Hat Pikachu, maybe you want to move left.
Yeah.
And what are people currently sleeping on? Like something that's really cool, but it's just undervalued. People just don't see it yet. And they may never see it. For the next 20 years, they may still be sleeping on some of these cars. But I'm okay with that. There are cool cars out there that I'm going to root for, even if no one else is currently rooting for.
And because of what you just said, that's why, and this is something I always like preach to, all my followers and, everyone that subscribes to me on YouTube or TikTok or whatever. It's just collect what you love. You cannot go wrong if you collect what you love. Like what I loved was that 2016 Battle Festa Pikachu, because I'm not a fair weather fan. Like I'm not going to leave this hobby in 2 years. I'm in it for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I fully agree. I'm in this hobby forever too, which is why people like you and we don't take news of reprints as a panic sell. And I think some of that is currently happening right now because obviously the latest news is Paldea Evolve is getting some kind of restocked or reprint in stores, which I am not surprised by. I think I told you like, hey, I think there's going to be a Paldea Evolve restock or reprint at some point, and you were just asking me when is it coming. It came later than I expected. It's pretty late because Paldea Evolved is over 2 years old now, so I'm surprised they're still restocking it, but we shouldn't be that surprised because they're still, restocking 151 every now and again, and that's a pretty old set too.
But they also can't do it enough to appease demand.
Yeah, so I'll bring that up, is that I don't think Paldea Evolve is going to go back to retail price.
Yeah.
And I'm going to base it off of prior restocks and reprints that we've been through. There's been many prior restocks and reprints. Evolving Skies had a reprint. Hidden Fates had a reprint. I was around when Ultra Prism had a reprint 1 month right before it was going to go out of rotation, which was really weird. And typically what happens when there's a restock or reprint of this level is the prices will probably drop down to somewhere in the middle point, which is if they were to restock booster boxes of Paldea Evolve. Paldea Evolve booster boxes are not going to go back to 100. They might drop down to 200, 250, something of that nature, and they'll usually stay there. What usually happens is when there's a restock, it tanks the price for a while, is that they flatline. Like Hidden Fates. Hidden Fates drop down to a moderate amount. I don't know, $150 in ETB.
Yeah, that's right.
And it stayed there for 4 years. But once that supply dries out, the prices spike really hard.
You know what was crazy? That was such a huge reprint. It really didn't, I would say that affected it. Like I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
yes.
the Hidden Fates ETBs didn't climb back up very, very quickly.
Yeah.
I feel like the Pokemon hobby was kind of on fire then, but maybe not as much as it is now. And it was also like people were fine holding on to those ETBs in their collection, but people weren't really trying to rip ETBs, especially to get packs out.
And that's what happens, is that people just hold on to their stock, and that's why prices just flatline for a while.
And also like rip and ships and just like streaming culture was 4 years back. Now 4 years, like it's only doubled, tripled in size. In another 2 years, it's only gonna double and triple in size again. Like online e-commerce is just like the strongest it's ever been. And if we look at all the Asian markets like China and elsewhere, it's like America still has so much more room to grow in it. We're not even caught up to halfway of where China is. So it's like if things keep trending, there's no way stuff can get reprinted like the way Hidden Fates ETBs were reprinted and just stagnate a price for that long. Like it's just impossible. I would argue there was also still printing room. Like they weren't at 100% of their printing power. I think people aren't looking deep enough into when Pokemon says they do a reprint. That's like, dude, if they're at 99% capacity, they can only do like so much,
which is why I'm saying, Paldea Evolve, it's not going to go back down to like $100 a booster box. Right. There's just no world that's happening. And I'm a realist. I'm just going to say it. It would be cool if it did, but it's not going to. Yeah. It's probably going to go to like, I don't know, like even if they restock booster boxes, it might drop a little bit.
Well, that's the thing. Aren't they not restocking? So the terminology for the post is really like, it's like restock to big box stores.
Yes, I agree with you. I don't know what's getting restocked. I have no idea. It might be ETBs. It might just be blister packs. We don't know.
I haven't heard from Distro where it's like, oh, we're going to have cases that you can get for your shop. It's like, I think what it is, it's going to be booster bundles and maybe some ETBs and maybe some like triple blisters or
Yeah, that's
single
what I
blisters.
heard, is that there's going to be a lot more blisters of Paldea
Yeah,
Evolve, which
they're just going to put those on the shelves at Target. But that's like, what, you know, one customer coming into Target could grab a rack, and it only appeases that one customer. Like, it's just not going to be enough.
What I'm trying to say is, like, I'm not going to panic sell my Magikarp or something, because I don't think it's going to tank in value or anything of that nature. I'm still going to keep my Paldea Evolve collection, what I have of it. And really, when I see a restock, it's almost like an opportunity. It's like, hey, if you weren't able to get some of these cards, maybe you're able to get them now.
Yeah.
If you weren't able to pull the Tyranitar or the Sleepy Raichu that is inside of Paldea Evolve, some of those illustration rares, their prices might be a little bit cheaper over the next 12 months as people find some packs and open them up. If I can find some at retail, if I go into Target and I find some blister packs of Paldea Evolve, neat, I'll pick some up.
Yeah,
that's really
same.
cool. But if I don't see anything, I'm okay with it. It's a 2 years old set. I had plenty of time to rip open Paldea Evolve. I'm okay if I don't rip more. Like, I'm okay with it, basically. We're moving on to newer sets now. I'm probably going to be opening up Mega Evolutions and Black Bolt and White Flare.
You know what's interesting about what you just said? It's so funny how you're like, the amount that the price changes, like, you're like, oh, if the price drops, it's because, let's say, more of it hits all the big box, like what, Targets and Walmarts and, I don't know, the crazy places that carry it now, like Ace Hardware. You're like, why is Pokemon in here? Or, dude, did you see that one video? I think Ash posted it, where it was like, he's in I can't even remember the name. It's like a sports store or like an outdoor. It reminded me of like an outdoor like world, like Bass Pro Shop.
Okay.
But dude, they just had shelves and shelves of Pokemon product, but it was all extremely overpriced.
Yeah, I've seen some places like Shields.
I think that's what it was. And
yeah, they sell Pokemon cards.
That's crazy. Why do they have it? Give it to the card shop owners. That's, you know, my one gripe, and I think every other card shop owner's gripe. Like, they don't need it. Let them sell their basketballs and their outdoor camping camps tents and their
kids.
You know, their lanterns. The kids can go to a card shop and get their, you know, whatever. I digress. But it's funny because, well, they have so much stock.
And I know where you're going from, because it's not even cheap. It wasn't cheap.
It's not even cheap. It's like 4x MSRP, and it's like, okay, they don't need that money. But what's interesting, the reason I bring it up is, like, so that's going to sit on the shelves. Maybe someone that's rich is like, whatever, I'll buy an ETB. I would say it's almost like whenever the price drops, like this news, unless it's people that are, there's enough people in the hobby that aren't maybe as veteran of people that have seen like a cycle or two go by, where they might panic sell their Magikarp, thinking like, oh, it's going to go down, so I want to get it at the highest possible price. And 1,000 people think that way. So then 1,000 people list the Magikarp, and then it drops, and then 1,000 people list their Paldea Evolve booster boxes. And it's like, it's not because there's more Paldea Evolve entering the field. It's like,
it's based on it's based on an emotion.
It's speculation, right? It's the reverse psychology now. It's like, I mean, not the term reverse psychology, but just because the news is coming out that there's more stock coming, it's not really an amount of stock that should affect the price, but just the news being official and people taking it seriously will affect enough people's minds to then sell all their stuff. And that them doing that them thinking that is actually what drops the price even more so than just the added population of the cards.
So I think this is literally happening right now, and I'll bring up, which is, let's say there's someone out there, they currently want the Tyranitar illustration rare, and they're like, oh man, I would love to have that Tyranitar illustration rare. You know, Paldea Evolve is out of print. I should probably pick one up now while I still can. But now that they hear this news, they're saying, okay, well, I might not pick one up right now. Maybe I'll wait in 6 months and see how big this restock is. And that immediately just, that person's demand just disappeared. That's how that happens. Is someone was about to pick up that Tyranitar illustration rare tomorrow on TCG Player, but because they just heard this rumor, they have no idea how much stock is going to be. But they just decide, okay, because I heard this rumor, I'm not going to buy that card tomorrow.
Right. Like it's almost like if you had that person in a vacuum, you could expose them to none of the new population. Like, just don't give it to any shops in that person's city. But just that news has already affected their mind into thinking it removes them from the demand slope, because now they just go, oh yeah, now I don't want to get it right now. Whereas before, if you hadn't told me that there was going to be a reprint, they would have maybe thrown money down to get that Tyranitar.
We actually brought this up in a way earlier episode of our podcast. Is that's how the psychology of things selling out happen.
Yeah.
Is there was a period of time when you and I could pick up booster boxes any day of the week for $160.
It was just
but we
on the
didn't
shelf.
because we were like, we're going to be able to pick it up any day. Why are we picking it up today?
Right.
But right now, obviously, if I see some booster boxes available for $160, I'm like, oh, that's a fantastic deal. I'm going to pick up those boxes, right? But that's how the psychology works, is that when there's times of plenty, you aren't picking them up. But when times are scarce, you hoard everything you can.
And then the ironic double layer to that, which is why understanding the psychology of the market and understanding the psychology of people is so important in this hobby, because you just said that perfectly, right? That is true. And then because people think rationally, it causes people to think irrationally.
Yeah, you have it exactly right. And I'll bring up myself. If I were to walk into a Target right now and I see 2 Black Bolt ETB on a store shelf, I'm gonna pick up both,
dude.
And the reason why I'm picking up both is because I haven't seen anything on a Target shelf in 7 months. So that's my reason for picking it up. But obviously, I wouldn't have done that maybe 9 or 12 months ago. If there was 2, I might be like, I might even pass, or I might grab 1. But now I'm picking up 2, even though I don't even know if I'm going to rip open 2, but I know I'm going to pick them up because I don't know when the next time I'm ever going to see some.
You want to talk about passing? Even when the hype was at an all-time high in 2020, maybe not right out after COVID, because we were all stuck inside because of quarantine. And so, people were definitely anxious to like get out and about, and, collectibles was still hot because that was the only thing people could do trapped inside. But remember pre-COVID, and then even after about a year of clearing after quarantine, it was like, I remember when you could go into a Target, ETBs would be on the shelves.
Yep.
You could go into a
There was a time
store,
when the stores were always stocked.
And you would leave them. Like, you were like, I'll grab an ETB. Oh, and like me, like with extra disposable income and me wanting to get more for like my personal channel or creating content, I could grab 4. There'd still be like 10 left on the shelf. Like no one now thinks that way. It's like, if you saw that, everyone's like, oh, that's the most I need to grab all of it. It's like, and that's the funny thing, like scalpers would do that anyway. And so you'd always hope like scalpers wouldn't, like find a brand new restock. Now it's like they all know when it's happening, but still at the same time, I remember scalpers would scalp maybe the best product, or they'd be focusing on the sports cards, right? And there'd still be just a plentiful amount of Pokemon stuff, even maybe if it wasn't the best item, like maybe there was a new premium collection, those were all taken up, but then you'd still find some ETBs and some EX boxes, and certainly like the Crown Zenith tins. Oh my gosh, how many or Shining Fates, dude. A year later, I could still find Boltund, Eldegoss, and
the tins, right? The Shining Fates tins.
Dude, they had tins and they had the paper boxes.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing in both. Like, it'd be a shiny.
I remember Shining Fates was one of the.
The Cramorant.
I remember that. The Shining Fates ETB was one of the items that you could always count to be on store shelves. They were just always there.
After the print was done, a year later, you'd see it on the shelf. And it wasn't like it was reprinted. It was like that ETB sat on a Walmart shelf for a year's worth of time. There's like nothing you see on a shelf in Walmart now where you're like, oh, that's been here since last year. But that's how, and like new people, they're like, what are you talking about? That's impossible. But that was a lot of stuff was.
That was just a year ago.
It would just sit there for a year.
Yeah, so that's exactly what's happening, is that people are ordering more than they normally would in a time of scarce. And that's what we have mentioned in the past, is that, hey, I might normally only order 1 booster box from a card shop because that's all I need. But right now, if they say, hey, we could take 2 booster boxes from you if you want, I will put down 2 because I don't know if I can get 2 from anywhere else.
It's almost like it's a desperation scalper. I see. I don't even, because it's
not
even
just
like a scalper.
It's nothing special.
What you're saying.
It's just pure human psychology.
Pure human psychology. It's like just, people are now buying more than what they need to. I mean, scalpers always buy the maximum amount and they don't need to, but like collectors will buy the extra more now and they used to not. And it's because they feel like if they don't, they're just going to never see that opportunity again. And so,
that's why, and the reason I'm bringing all this up is you were bringing up the point where, hey, just because of the news of Paldea Evolve coming out, people might skip some Paldea Evolve cards. And that's how important news can be, is that if people have consumer confidence that stocks are aplenty, they will just psychologically buy less. And if the Pokemon company can bring back that confidence, it might bring it back, say, oh, if that confidence is strong enough, I might only go back to buying one booster box,
You know what's so funny? So, all right, let's talk this through because I'm sure a lot of the viewers would love to hear how. Okay, I've been thinking about this. I want you to give me your take on this.
Sure.
Pokemon's at maximum printing.
Sure.
They'll borrow printing power from sports card companies, and
Okay.
they still can't print enough to meet demand. They're at 101%, if that's even possible. You talk about them bringing back consumer confidence. You talk about them bringing back they would need to physically print more cards, and the news would need to be so plentiful. Shelves would need to be stocked so much that people could try to get the extra, get more, and they're still seeing some left.
Okay.
If that event can only be achieved by Pokemon building brand new facilities, which would take years, staffing them, training them, you can't just click and overnight that's built. So they're not going to invest in that, which they haven't. I haven't heard any news of them buying a plot of land, being like, we're going to make a 50-mile long printing facility. They can't just print more cards out of nowhere. There's only 24 hours in the day. They probably got all the printing presses going 24/7, which is why quality control is so bad. What pops this? How does it end then? How does Pokemon bring back consumer confidence in that their product can be got to everyone?
So I'm going to go into that, okay?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'll bring up what I would say is my strategy.
Okay, yeah.
If I was the CEO of the Pokemon company, here's what I would do. Is if I wanted to quell demand, maybe they don't want to quell demand. Maybe they're like, dude, why would we want to do that?
Money, yeah.
So, but let's say they want to quell demand.
Okay.
If I was the CEO of the Pokemon company, what I would do is I would literally print to demand. And I know they can't. I agree with you. You're like, dude, they can't. I'm going to tell you how they do it, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to say, and it's psychology. Like I said, it's psychology. I would say, hey, we are going to open up the Pokemon Center. If you want to put in an order for Mega Evolution right now for 20 booster box, we will take it. We don't know when you're going to get your 20 booster boxes, but we guarantee you will eventually get your 20 booster boxes.
Oh, you think like that?
If they do that, it would shut down the market.
Interesting.
And the reason for that is because now I know, in psychology, pure psychology, I'm like,
everyone
okay,
goes,
if I want to order 20 booster boxes Mega Evolution, it might take 2 years for me to get them, but I know for sure I will get them.
They make the promise.
Yeah, it would tank the scalper market.
Because right now when there's
Why
a drop,
would I order from the scalper when I can order from the Pokemon company and I'll get them?
That's wow. Okay, see guys, subscribe to the Card Lounge. See,
Pokemon company hire me.
Dude, that's right. They should hire. I mean, dude, if you think about it, the promise alone, you think
it's
about
psychology.
How much psychology is like whenever there's a drop. Dude, I didn't even get you know this. I missed the Pokemon Center.
Yeah, you
ETB
didn't get
drop.
a Pokemon Center ETB drop.
Because it sold out in like a couple hours, and I missed it.
If right now the Pokemon company just promises you, like, hey, you're going to get one eventually,
dude,
you wouldn't buy one from a scalper.
If everyone's story instead went from like, missed out on the drop, or Walmart did you see Walmart had like a Collecticon?
Yeah.
thing? Okay,
I got nothing from it. I waited in line, I got
that's
nothing.
crazy. But if everyone's story went from, dude, I got nothing from the Walmart Collecticon, all the scalpers botted it, everything was botted, to, oh my God, I wanted 20 151 bundles and I got it. I got 20 prismatic. Everyone is just getting what they're asking for, even if they don't get it. Like, even if Pokemon a year later was like, you know what, like we're still working on your order, but it's gonna come. So you're promised it, but we can't say that you're gonna get it in 2 months or 3 months. It's just the fact that everyone having that, being like, my order went through. That's it. That's all they would need.
That's all they take.
Everyone had a successful order instead of 80% of people saying, I got nothing, or I got kicked out of the line, or I couldn't get through the Pokemon Center drop. Like, that could fix it.
Yeah. If they wanted
strong
to,
enough.
I don't know if they could do that. I don't know the legalese, and I don't know what the deal with it. Yeah. But it is a potential option. It's just that basically, if right now I know I can always go on the Pokemon company and order an ETB or a booster box in advance.
You'll get it.
Yeah, and I'll get it. Then why would I ever buy Mega Evolution for 200?
There's gotta be a business thing. I mean, I don't think I could put up a pre-order and be like, hey, give me your money and I'll give you the 30th anniversary set. I don't know when you're going to get it. You might get it when you're 85, but I'll get it to you then, right? There's got to be some sort of laws
I'm
against
sure.
that.
I'm sure there's reasons for that. I remember,
Right.
like for Secret Lair with Wizard of the Coast. I remember I put in some, and they took over a year to give me some of those Secret Lairs. So it
It's
can
too
go for a
long.
while.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I do think that's an interesting solution. Like I said, it's pure psychology because once you do that, suddenly, like I don't feel the need to order 20 booster boxes right now.
I get it.
Yeah, if I could order 20 booster boxes for Mega Evolution right now from the Pokemon Company, I unfortunately would. Normally, in a normal circumstance, I would not want 20, but I would now because I can't get 20 anywhere else.
Yeah.
But if I know I can get 20 from the Pokemon Company, suddenly my demand for it goes from 20 to 2.
Right. It's the demand slope, right? You bring the demand number down so much because you hit all the inefficient line people. And those line people are like the people waiting in lines right now that really aren't scalpers, but they'll trade 11 hours of their time to save $20 when they could just buy from a scalper. But if it's like, if they will just buy an ETB for $50 and then or $60 and then they know it's like going to come in a year, they're not going to go to Facebook Marketplace and buy that same ETB from a scalper for like, you know, $100.
Yeah.
And then all the scalpers, they're running out of money because how they work is the quick flip. They're going to start undercutting each other. Then the price goes lower and it gets basically lower or to the amount close to MSRP, and then people might buy from them, but then it's not even like a scalper buy. It's just buying from a fellow collector that just happened to buy it from the store first, and you might give them an extra $3 on top for, I mean, the service of essentially just collecting the goods.
Yeah, so that's part of it. Like, so why does someone pay $300 for a Destined Rival booster box right now? It's part of the scarcity. It's part of the FOMO.
You can't get it anywhere else.
Exactly. Like, it's basically like, well, I either buy that or I don't buy it at all. And I want some of these cards, and I don't know how much there's going to be out there. They don't know. There's no assurance on the demand, the supply. So it feels scarce. You know, people are picking up booster boxes now because they might never get them. But if they know for sure that they will always have the opportunity to pick it up, yeah, it calms down a lot. But who knows what the reason is.
Right.
All right. So we're getting near the end of the podcast, and I think we got some event coming up. You're going to the Nationals next week. Are you excited for that one?
Yeah, I'm excited. I do feel like because the state of the hobby is on fire right now, it kind of reminds me of maybe how the National was in 2021, like just the first one out right after COVID.
And that was one of the best last year ones. Was not like that big of a deal because obviously it was before the Pokemon hype. I agree what you're saying is that this Nationals is during a massive Pokemon boom.
Hype, correct. And last year's one was not that crazy. I feel like I didn't really see a lot of pickups. I do remember people selling boxes for cheap and cases, and I wish those same companies that it was like they were more like sports companies, and they're like, please take my Pokemon. But since everyone was doing it, it's the whole scarce thing. See, I should have been smart in picking it up, but I was like, no, I can get this later whenever I want. And I was passing up on, I think like, oh my gosh, I think I was passing up on a year ago, like Paldea Evolve cases, Obsidian Flames cases.
I remember Paradox Rift for $80 a box.
Man.
Yeah, but I know what you mean, and I think it'll be interesting is you might see some like, 40-year-old dads who normally wear baseball jersey, but like they've now switched it over into like, we're now a Pokemon shop, son, you know.
Right. You know what? I remember Twilight. There was like Twilight booster boxes, Twilight Masquerade, and I did pick up some. And then the house I was staying at, I think like Gary ripped some and Joe, but shout outs to those guys from Lucky Vault. And it was funny because it's like, because of them ripping that, and then I know what they needed to pay me later when it was all appreciating. It was like the amount that I picked them up for. I remember thinking, oh, I'm just gonna get these to fill my suitcase, but I could have got a lot more, and I just didn't. So
because you didn't need to, because you were just gonna say, oh, I can pick some up a month down the line, which you technically were able to, because if the Nationals was the same time, Pokemon hype was still like really, really dead.
Right. It didn't just start right after the National was over. But I am looking forward to it. I also think, for the National does have a lot of cool stuff where it's like, giveaways and lots of cool shopping. You see stuff even beyond like sports cards. Like there's like cards. I always see some crazy Marvel cards or just boxes of things that you wouldn't necessarily see anywhere else, because I feel like a lot of the vendors there are grandfathered in and they've been vending that show since like, before the 2000s, and you're just kind of like, they just have this kind of crazy stock.
So the Nationals is one of like the oldest, collectibles and trading cards.
I think it's the first national card show that was ever created.
The
The
National.
National, yeah.
But basically, yes, I agree with you. Is that I think it's mainly traditionally it's a sports card show, but I'm interested to see how much of it has become a Pokemon card show in the past year. Like I said, because obviously they're businesses and they go to where the money is, and obviously Pokemon cards is doing better than sports cards as of right now. It's all hot, but I just want to see if like there's any like sports stats that are now like, well, we used to be baseball Jake's shop, but now we're Poke Jake's shop because that's what our business is now.
Yeah, no, I bet there will be like, I'll report back on it, but I bet there's going to be a higher like TCG presence. And I think one of the cool things about the National is because it's so much more focused on sports cards, I feel like not a lot of TCG people go to it, but sometimes those kind of bigger shows where, it's, sports cards, it's kind of like how we feel about sports cards, right? Sometimes when I get a box of something or some cards, I just don't really know the value and I just need to turn it into money. I might not know the best way to extract the fullest value out of that card or box or packs or whatever. So sometimes there's just people there that they might stop at a garage sale and pick up a bunch of great Pokemon stuff, but they get it so cheap, they're willing to let it go for a very reasonable price. And because they don't know how to deal with it.
I hear you.
I can pick it up and I'm like, I know how to deal with it. And maybe I've got some sports stuff I can give them. They'd rather deal with that. And so you can make very even trades or trades that seem more favorable if you know what you're doing in Pokemon.
Yeah, I get what you're trying to say is that if you are dealing with someone whose specialty is Pokemon cards, they know the prices on everything. Yeah. It's readily available. But if you're dealing with someone who deals in baseball and basketball cards and they're not a huge fan of Pokemon, but they might have some Pokemon stuff on the side because maybe someone went to their shop and sold some stuff to them. Yeah, and they're just like, I just got a random Pokemon card collection over here. Look through it and tell me what you want and I'll work a deal with you. Like they're a bit more casual on it because it's not their wheelhouse.
Right, exactly. So, I'm looking forward to that. And then like, man, a couple weeks after that, there's like the One Piece United States National Championships.
I'm gonna be rooting for you. I think you're gonna be going for the nationals for One Piece.
Yeah, I'm going to the event, and to compete in it, you got to get invited. Right. But I've been so busy the last couple months, I haven't earned my invite yet. Mm-hmm. But they have a tournament literally the day before nationals called the Last Chance Qualifier, the LCQ. Okay. So I'm in that. Okay. So I have to go and I have to not win, but I think you have to place like, I don't know, top 16 or top 32. Yeah. And then hopefully from that, I'd get into the actual national championships.
Sure. So if you guys don't know, Rob is actually a competitive One Piece player, and you've done really well. Actually, you've won some solid tournaments. You've ranked really highly. What's the highest you've done at one of the nationals or regionals? At
nationals, the first nationals they ever did for One Piece, I was 12th in the nation.
12th in the nation of One Piece players, guys. So that's really cool. What was your prize?
I got the top 16, the uncut sheet.
Yeah, an uncut sheet of One Piece cards.
Right, which had like all the 05 like alt arts plus the manga, like all the mangas, the manga Luffy, the manga Kid, the manga.
I think the rest of the viewers are going to wish you best of luck, and I'm sure we'll hear about it once you come back, and I'm wishing you best of luck on it.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, that's the end of today's episode. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah,
Peace out.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and thanks for lounging with us.
Peace out, everyone.